Hello and welcome to the Lucky Boy podcast, where we chat with business owners and freelancers who are navigating the highs and lows of the creative industry. My name's Karleigh Pearson and I'm here today with one of my good friends, Skye, who is a freelance social media manager and a content creator. So I wanted to sit down with you and just chat through your career. You've got some very, very exciting things that are on the horizon. So I'd love to jump into that. But I wanted to ask you about how you got into being or working for yourself full time, content creating and managing social media.
Yeah. So firstly, hello.
Hello.
So I owned a fashion label, which I started maybe 3 years ago. And obviously with an e-commerce business, you need to know marketing and social media and content. And I did all of that myself. And that's where I really found my passion for creating content and social media. And then I kind of had a few other brands and businesses like friends reach out wanting me to take over their socials. And then it kind of stopped with the fashion and just went full-time freelancing.
So is that how you think you mastered your skills? Is that just from literally doing it for yourself?
Yeah.
Figuring out what works, what doesn't work, and then sort of using those skills across a lot of other different brands as well?
Yeah. Well, I think, when you do it for yourself, you kind of just try everything and you see it from start to finish. And as you said, you see what works and what doesn't work.
So how long have you been working for yourself full time? Like you started a fashion label when you were pretty young, right?
Yeah. I started that maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I've kind of always had like other jobs, interim jobs, like in between, but full-time freelancing for about 2 years.
So good.
Yeah.
Do you love it? Like, what's your favorite part about working for yourself?
Definitely the flexibility. I think nothing beats being able to have your own schedule, have your own routine. I think especially like in this day, like being able to just come and do this, for example, and having the time to be able to do that.
Not having to ask someone.
Yeah, exactly. Or just, being like some days I might work late at night, but then I can have the morning off and do something the next day if I want to do it. Definitely the flexibility and just being able to, I guess, be in control. Yeah.
For me, I would say having my puppy in the office is very nice. She's just over there. That's what I love. But also when I worked in a corporate job, and I know that a lot of other corporate jobs aren't like this. A lot of corporate jobs are so flexible. But for me, when I worked in a corporate job, it was so like you had to be there in person every single day, no matter what was going on with you personally. At 8:30 on the dot, I used to have a full face of makeup on, dressed to the nines to go and sit in front of a computer for the whole day. And just that, I used to every single morning be so rush. And that was what I absolutely hated. And it made me hate going to work, was that rush period in the morning. Yeah. So now that I don't have that, and it's like, it's flexibility, it's a freedom, but not having to rush in the morning is so nice. If I want to do a later Pilates class,
for sure,
I can work late if I want to. Yeah. And I don't have to be on someone else's schedule, which is just so nice, because that was just, And also having to pack a bag. Don't you think having to pack a bag is just so horrible? Like if you're trying to lug everything around, going to work and then trying to go to the gym afterwards, that's what I hated.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny you say that though. Even though I absolutely love routine and like the flexibility, I feel like sometimes do you find that you can have lack of routine working for yourself as well? Or
I actually I'm pretty strict with myself. Yeah. And people often commend me on having a routine, and they say it's such a positive thing that I'm quite regimented. And I always get complimented on that I get up every single morning early, and I'm quite structured within the week. But then, for example, we just had a long weekend and I really struggled with not having my routine on a Monday morning, and I feel like I'm, running behind or whatever, even though I'm not. And it's fine. It's fine to have a day off on a Monday, like everyone else is. But in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, I'm behind. I need to be doing this, this, and this, and this, which sometimes makes me think I'm maybe a little bit have that work addiction, that addiction to want to always feel productive. But
I think that comes with like working for yourself and having your own business though as well. Like you're constantly thinking about it. Like it's super hard I find it hard to switch off. Like you're always thinking of ways that you can improve or that you can do better. Like even on your day off, you might be on Instagram or something and you'll see another business or another creator doing something, and like you're constantly just thinking, oh, how can I do that? Or how can I take inspiration from that? So you're still switched on and still thinking about it.
And as a social media manager, if you are a good social media manager, you are watching trends. And how do you watch trends? It's through scrolling on your phone. We were talking about this in the office the other day. There's nothing more icky than a marketing agency jumping on a trend like a little bit too late.
Oh, absolutely.
When people are doing like, we're a marketing agency. Of course we, this. I'm like, oh no.
Trending 2 weeks ago.
I'm like, oh no, don't post this, guys. That's old news.
Yeah.
But when people jump on it, like there's so many different trends, like micro trends that come and go. Like the swipe, like there's a new one that's kind of like, it's not that new anymore. But one of them, it's like swipe if you want to see this. And then the second thing is, why did you swipe?
Yes.
And I was like, oh, that's really funny. Like we could do that for so many of our clients. And that only comes from being on the apps yourself.
Exactly.
And that's how you can be like, it's in this industry almost like commendable to be someone that's constantly on.
Yeah, for sure. And I think sometimes I look at my screen time and I'm like, oh my God, is this even real life?
I know.
But then I think if I wasn't spending this much time on TikTok, on Instagram, on social media platforms, I wouldn't be able to have the knowledge that I do to put forward to my clients.
Yeah, it's like a bit of a catch-22.
Absolutely.
Right? I wanted to also ask you about something that I think is really beneficial for people to listen to is how you actually, like, I think for most people when they are quitting their full-time jobs, whether that be to be a freelancer or start an agency, they always worry about how they're going to bring in work. And I think it's really interesting to have that conversation about how people bring in work for themselves, like whether it's reaching out to other agencies or like really focusing on marketing yourself, because I know you do that really well.
Yeah. So I definitely think having a personal brand is good, especially being a content creator, being able to have a platform where people can see whether you have a following or not, just having an Instagram account, a TikTok account, a platform where people can see your content. Like they don't want to see the numbers, the engagement, whatever. They just want to see the content that you're able to create. So having that, I guess it's like a portfolio as such, but
totally
like a public portfolio.
Yeah.
So I think, definitely having like a personal brand and being able to direct people to that and being able to show that you can grow something as well, that you're able to like start that and grow that and build towards something. Working with agencies, like I work with a few agencies for content, which is great. It's great to like get experience and put yourself out, like have yourself put out there with clients. But at the end of the day, you can make so much more money by skipping the agency. But obviously you need those contacts. I think like the biggest help to get clients for myself has definitely been word of mouth. As I said before, the reason how I like fell into freelancing was just through friends wanting me to help with this and help with this. And then usually people in business have other friends in business and they'll talk about you and then people ask you, and I guess that's just how it works.
Yeah, that's been for us too. That's been how we grew when we started, and even now is all word of mouth.
100%.
And that's the best kind of referral.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, I think so. That's the best kind of way to have new leads, because it's coming off the back of someone recommending you, so you don't have to go through a whole big like pitching process.
Yeah.
I think as well, what you have done really well within your content is you have a certain style when you're creating content for whether it's like brands that you work with or your own personal stuff. Like you could almost look at that content and kind of, or even without knowing you created it, see that it was yours.
Yeah.
Like you've definitely developed that style. Like did that come over time or?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's nice to be able to have something different. Like almost anything is content and almost anybody can be a content creator, but being able to have something that, is different and having brands that want to work with you because of your style of content.
I wanted to also ask you about something that I'm often asked this question about people that are wanting to start out on their own, about how they sort of price themselves as a freelancer, whether you're doing like working with a client on a retainer or project based. Do you have some sort of packages that you have already developed, or do you sort of sit down with someone and come up with a tailored package for them specifically?
Yeah, I definitely have like a base rate and base packages and deliverables that I will offer. But I mean, no two clients are the same. Like some clients will want something different to another client. They may have like a bigger budget, so we're able to expand more within that deliverable compared to another client. So I think definitely being able to offer a tailored package to a client is, really good. And I think that's what I find most with my clients is just that they can come to me and it's not like, all right, I'm going to give you this, this and this. I can say, what do you want? And let's work with that. And I think that's the best thing about being able to work for yourself as well. I can say yes to the work that I want to. I can say no to the work that I want to. We can really, tailor something for the client. But looking back at my first rate when I first started freelancing, my rate was $25 an hour.
Oh,
I know.
Wow.
I know. Looking back at years and years ago, and that obviously you need to pay yourself you pay your tax, pay yourself super.
Yeah.
And most of the time you're not I didn't even have a minimum amount of hours. So sometimes I would do like half an hour's work for a client. I'm like looking back, how did I even make money?
Wow.
Like,
well, how do you even know? That's the thing, is how do you know how to price yourself if really people don't talk about it? And also for us, figuring out when we first started was figuring out all of the accounting side of things, paying yourself super, and also just figuring out a kind of rate that you feel comfortable with, and that is also aligns well with what expertise you're bringing to the table.
Yeah.
But it just comes with, I guess, figuring out yourself if you don't have someone that kind of sits you down and tells you.
Yeah. And for me, I didn't come from working like at an agency or working in-house for another brand. I literally just came from my own startup and went out from there. So I didn't really have experience of knowing what people would charge in an agency or kind of like any idea. Like I didn't even do any internships within marketing. I literally just did it all from myself. So I guess I was just pulling numbers from anywhere. Maybe like my hospitality job, I was getting paid around that much. So I was like, oh yeah.
Same.
Yeah, that goes. And then now over the years, I've just connected with other freelancers and people. It is a hard thing to talk about. Nobody really likes talking about money or talking about how much they earn. But being able to, have a close relationship with other freelancers and just being open about it. And even people will message me today and be like, how much would you charge for this? And then I'll tell them what I'm charging for that. And then
I have no problem talking about money.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's I don't know where that comes from, or maybe I think I wouldn't necessarily go out and ask someone, but if someone asked me about different figures or anything, I'm always comfortable telling people because often they're just trying to figure it out themselves.
Yeah.
But it's something that I've been trying to do a lot more this year is connect with other creatives, because it can be quite isolating when you're running a business and a lot of your friends aren't doing or aren't working in the similar industry and they don't really understand.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's nice to connect with people, like even through conversations I've had with you in the past about when different things happen or different things go wrong or things come to you and you really don't know how to handle them. Talking to other people that are also creatives or work in the creative industry is just so nice because they understand and they can offer different perspectives that maybe your friends and your family don't have. So I think that community is so, so important.
Absolutely. And I think that's one thing, probably the biggest tip that I could give to anybody that's wanting to work for themselves or get into the industry is just being able to connect with other people and learn from other people.
Just ask questions.
100% ask questions. Like, I feel like I'll message you sometimes and just ask for random questions.
Yeah.
Like, what does this mean? But it's true because like there's no rule book or you're just learning as you go and being able to learn from other people. But I guess what goes around comes around. Like I'll help someone, they'll be able to help me, and be able to have that community, I think is just so important.
I actually, for the first time, did a call with someone who was looking at, so she's quite young. She's, I think, 19, and she was the sweetest girl. And she said that her dream was to run a marketing agency, and she wanted to ask me about my journey. And I just feel, imposter syndrome. You're like, oh, but I don't have anything valid to say. But I got off the call thinking I actually did say a few things that she hadn't really considered. And one of those things was she sort of had the perception of you need to master all of these different skills. You need to know how to be good at photography, videography, editing, all of these different things in order to go out on your own. And I said, you don't. You can just specialize in one thing and that can just be your one thing. Just go after that. And maybe if you want to grow from there, but all you need is to be good at one thing and you'll just keep getting better and better and better. And you don't need to have this whole toolbox. In fact, it's probably better
100%.
To specialize in one thing.
Yeah, 100%. When I first started freelancing, I had like a million.
Anything you want.
I know. I was like a million different tabs open. And even now, we're just talking about before, it's like, when people ask you what you do, I'm like, yeah, I guess I'm a content creator. I'm a social media manager. I do this. But when you have so many different tabs open, like I think that just becomes way too confusing and you can just like avoid so much admin and so much stress when you just focus and offer like a few different services and specialize in that, like quality over quantity. 100%.
Totally. Have you heard of Stolen Focus, that book?
Yes, I bought it.
Did I tell you about it?
No, I didn't think so. I bought it months ago and I haven't read it yet.
So I did actually listen to the ebook, so I won't lie and say I read it, but I listened to the ebook because the author has a really beautiful British accent, so dreamy. And Johan Hari, I think is his name. And he talks about the term. So I don't know how many years ago, but everyone went to this idea of how multitasking was the best way to get anything done. And you can be doing this while you're doing this, and you can be answering emails while also working on one task and have, X amount of tabs open. And that's the way to be the most productive, when actually that is the way that you get the least amount of things done. And we're going back to like this phrase monotasking. And I think about it all the time when I'm like, I'm just going to do the one thing. And that means not listening to content while I'm working. That means not also answering emails. It just means like monotasking, doing one thing. And it is torture, just focusing on one thing, because your brain just wants to be, doing other things. Like we're so used to always having a million things on the go, or at least listening to something
for sure
while we're doing something a little bit mundane. And we don't ever let our brains feel like boredom or, like such full focus on one thing. So it's definitely an ongoing thing.
It uses so much brain power to go from like one task to another. And that's why I try and work with clients on deliverables rather than an hourly rate, because I do find that when you're jumping from this to this, it's so much harder to track how much that you're working, and two, like the efficiency and productivity of you starting this and then going on to something else. And it just becomes all a bit messy.
I think deliverable based work I think it's best for everyone, because at the end of the day, if you're getting the results and you're delivering what you need to, that's all that you need to show, and everyone's happy.
Yeah. And I think I find that I have friends that work in corporate and they say that sometimes like you just have to do your work and that's it. They don't care what time you come in, as long as you get the work done, you get the work done. And it's the same as like a freelancer, I guess. If you're just able to do the work and tick all those boxes, doesn't matter how long it takes you. It doesn't matter. Obviously, you have to get it done by a certain time deadline, but it doesn't matter when you're doing it. But as long as you get it done, you get it done.
Yeah, or even where you do it either.
Exactly.
Yeah, as long as you're delivering high quality work, it doesn't really matter about all the rest. I think since COVID, it's just changed so much, and people before, and that was when I was working in corporate, it was very much like every single person was in the office 5 days a week. And that's just how things were done. And I didn't even leave my office. And I'm saying full face of makeup, I wore heels. That was a standard. And I didn't even leave the office to go in. I wasn't client facing or anything. But I think now ever since COVID, things are a little bit more relaxed in terms of you don't have to be at a certain place from 8:30 till 5 o'clock every single day. And maybe employers are sort of starting to understand that you can still deliver the work even to a high quality standard if you have more of a balance.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree. And I think, going back to flexibility being like the number one best thing about being freelance is, for that, as long as you get the work done. Doesn't matter where you're working. Most of the time I work from cafes, because it's quite funny. I think a lot of people, like with the pandemic, when everyone said that you could work from home, it was like a dream. It's like, oh my God, yeah. But now, not that because I wasn't working in corporate then, but now that I have the flexibility to be able to work from wherever, I don't even enjoy working from home.
Yeah, it can be a bit isolating.
Yeah, working out of home, going to cafes, being around other people. But yeah, I guess everybody's different and there's pros and cons to both.
Yeah, totally. When Jake and I first started the agency, it was just him and I, and we were just working from home all day, every day. And that was so hard because you're just it just feels so isolating. And I had someone with me, so I can't even imagine what it would have been like just solely by yourself, just not leaving the house and just working. It just feels like, even though you might feel productive because you're getting lots done, you don't feel like you kind of get that icky feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's so good to get out and just work from a cafe for a few hours and you feel like you've had a nice little day.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like it gives you that routine of being able to get up and get dressed and having somewhere to be. I found that I can really, like, if I don't, like, yes, I have the flexibility that I don't have to work until, like, I can wake up and work whenever I start work whenever I want to, I guess. But then also if you don't have like self-discipline, or like, that's also not a good thing to not wake up and have somewhere to be. So,
totally.
Yeah, if you set some sort of routine, like, okay, yeah, I'm going to start work
every day by 9.
At this time, wherever it is. But at least if I'm doing that, and then that creates routine for you.
Yeah, I think that probably, even though I always talk about, corporate, it was maybe good for me in a way because it did help me get a lot of structure in my day. And when I first started, I used to seriously have that same mentality of that rush in the morning, until I realized I don't have to start. If I'm not sitting down by 8:29, it's okay. It can be like 8:35. It's fine. It's all good. But it did give me that structure in the beginning, which was probably a good thing in some ways.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I was talking to my friend the other day about having to call in sick. So painful.
I know.
I used to never I would try and text, and they brought out this new rule that you couldn't text, you had to call. Like, that alone. And I am like, I have zero phone anxiety. I will talk to anyone on the phone. I will call anyone. But when I used to have to call my boss, and because you felt like you had to kind of, I don't know, ham it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And like, I'm sick.
And you feel so guilty about it.
And why is that?
I know.
I feel so guilty.
Yeah. I think, like, I've heard a lot that corporate has changed now, where they're giving like mental health days, and, you know, it's easier to take leave, but it's still, I feel like it still doesn't beat just being able to, like, be in control.
Yeah. One of my amazing clients has a paid menstrual leave policy for her team. She has only female staff. And it's to do with any symptoms that you have due to having your period or going through menopause. If you have any health-related issues to do with those two things, then you are eligible for paid menstrual leave. And she just brought that in.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It is so amazing because, I know a lot of girls, especially girls that struggle with endo, who have to have time off work every single month, and that would be really challenging. You know, you're only allowed a certain amount of sick days.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so that's good. There's a few employers that are definitely pushing things in the right direction.
Yeah, and I think, don't get me wrong, as much as I love, like, being a freelancer, I think, and yeah, we do say, corporate, but like there are some amazing corporate companies to work for that do have these things, and they probably have better, like, what's the word, like, better strategies in place rather than like what I would working for myself. So, you know. Yeah.
So true. So have there been how long have you been working for yourself, would you say?
I think maybe like, probably 4 years, but full-time for myself for about 2.
Yeah. Would you say there have been like any big challenges for you since you've started, potentially something to do with, it's like maybe like even the isolation of things, working from home, or have there been any standout things that have felt hard for you?
I think there's 2 things that stand out for me. One is definitely the isolation. Prior to having my fashion label and working for myself, I was working in hospitality. So I was meeting and greeting like hundreds of people all day, every day, constantly talking, like working alongside someone. And I really enjoyed that. I'm a very sociable person. I love meeting new people, love talking to people. So I found, that when I started working for myself from home, it was just so isolating, which is why I go out all the time and which is what has led me to my next business venture. But the next thing would definitely be, and we've spoken about this before, is having to justify your rates or to someone. And I find that can be really hard, especially when imposter syndrome like comes into it, and someone like, you know, you tell someone your rates or what you charge, and then they'll come back with something so much lower, and then it makes you think, oh my gosh, am I not worth this much? Like, is my work, do they not see my work as high quality? And I think that's, one of the hardest things is being able to have that conversation. Like, no, I am worth this much. I know, like, I have clients that pay this much. Why should I have to lower to you to,
Yeah, and they're just generally not the right people if they don't see the value.
Absolutely.
It is hard.
People just want to charge like an hourly rate, but there's so much work that goes into this outside of that hour. Like, there's pre-work that goes into it. There's like post-work, which obviously like editing and, you know, as you would know, but yeah, having to just have that conversation, I feel it can be so hard, especially when it's with, like, as I was saying before, word of mouth is how I get most of my work, and having to have that conversation with, I guess, like friends of friends or people that you know, and it can just be, I guess, a little bit awkward. But if there's anything that I've learned, it's just to know your worth and stand your ground. And
absolutely.
You're not going to do yourself a favor by taking on this work. It's just going to push you back with all of your other work as well, if you're having to take on more clients at a lower rate because you're not charging your worth.
Or if clients I think sometimes clients will, when they're trying to, or if you're talking to people and they want to sort of book you for a lower rate, they will often maybe like promise more work.
Yeah.
But sort of within the hopes of getting you at the lower rate, so that you might say yes to that because it's going to be a lot of work in the future. But we've just learned you have to back yourself and know your worth.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, people are getting like cost of living, and there's like people in corporate are getting pay rises. Like, why should we have to, just because we work for ourselves, have to lower it down because there's no, I guess, like HR team or like, you know? Yeah,
it's definitely challenging. And I think as young girls as well, where we were, I was never taught to, I was sort of more taught to just be, you know, nice and smiley. And it's kind of taken a little while for me to be able to feel comfortable to have those tougher conversations with people, because it's not really in my nature. Although in the past couple of years, it sort of has become, I do feel more comfortable having more, not confrontational, but I guess like a bit more like sincere conversations about different things when it comes to money and deliverables and things like that. I've definitely just had to learn to be a little bit, to have those conversations and to feel comfortable.
Yeah, for sure. And I look back to when I had my fashion label, and I would work with like marketing agencies, content creators, and I would like just pay them like whatever they would say. And I'm like, why? I should just be able to like put my rate and myself out there, and people just be able to like, I guess, do the same.
Yeah, because I think, you've always just respected that that's what, if someone's charging that, then that's what they're worth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And if you don't like that, then
just don't go with them. Yeah. Don't ask them to do it for $2.
For sure. We don't have to work together.
Yeah.
And I think that it's funny when, you know, you say, when clients have this high expectation and they want all of these deliverables and all of these different things for such a low rate. And I just think, wow, like, good on you if you're going to go and find someone who can
do all that.
Yeah, do all of that for that rate. Like, I'm excited to see the quality of work that you're going to get for that.
Yeah, for sure. I also want to talk about something very, very exciting that you have coming up or launching really soon.
Yes.
And I'll let you intro the name, because I absolutely love the name. I think it's so good. I think it's really memorable. Tell us about what's happening in 3 weeks.
3 weeks. So just an hour ago, I signed the lease and paid the deposit to open up to open up a creative space here in Melbourne, which is so exciting and scary at the same time. But yeah, going back to working for yourself and it being isolating, I found when I moved to Melbourne almost a year ago, I moved into an apartment by myself in a new city, didn't really know that many people. All of my clients were mainly like virtual, so I wasn't really working in person with many. And I just found when I started to put myself out there on TikTok and, you know, film day in my life and how I work as a freelancer, I got a lot of people messaging me, asking me like, how do you do that? Like, I want to get into freelancing. And I just thought it'd be really cool to be able to have a space where people can, like freelancers can come and connect. And also being a content creator, being able to have a space where I can create content and hire that out to other brands and businesses and creators. And that is where, the idea for Sunset Disco came about.
So exciting.
Yeah, it is really, really exciting. I've worked for other content studios. And I just really love being able to have a physical place or thing to do. I think that's what I really enjoyed about having my fashion label is you're like, it's very hands-on.
Yeah.
And I feel like with the work that I do, it's like you don't really see a product. You do see
I know what you mean.
From start to finish, but it's just so different.
Yeah.
Sunset Disco will be a content studio and also a co-working space, which is
amazing.
Yeah, really
and maybe
fun.
Events too.
Yeah, events. I'd love to be able to just really connect and bring people together. I think, as I said a million times, it can be so isolating and just having that network, having those like creatives around you and being able to have those conversations and that community with people. Coming in 3 weeks.
So exciting.
Yeah.
Get me in there. I'm so excited. Do you think you'll do a little launch campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, there'll definitely be a launch party on the cards as well.
So exciting.
As I said, literally signed the lease an hour ago. So
How do you feel?
Super excited. I think it's a bit, I'm not sure because you recently moved from the Gold Coast as well. I kind of just moved to Melbourne on a whim, like, I'll see how it goes. Yep. And then now I've just signed a 3-year lease. Yep. So I'm here for the next 3 years.
Yeah, no, that's so amazing. Sometimes you just got to go for it. And
exactly.
Getting a space was the best thing because you're not just working in your home. Like it just feels so different and you're going to have the ability to do so much in that space.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like sometimes like I'd been thinking about it for a while and I was like, is this a crazy idea? But then I just think I wouldn't have been granted this like opportunity if it wasn't meant to be or if I wasn't capable of doing it. And
absolutely. Like, and if not you, then who?
Exactly. And I've spoken to other freelancers or even just other creatives in the industry. And they said, there's a demand for it here. Content is an ever-growing industry. It's really
So you're hoping to get sort of what type of photo shoots do you think in the space?
I would love to work with like content creators and brands. But I guess like I don't want to say it to be limited, or like exclusive. But I really, as I said before, I really want it to be a space where people can like work together and collaborate. So I guess just working with like-minded creatives and businesses, whether it's like fashion, lifestyle, beauty. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I'm so excited for you. And
thank you.
Stay tuned for the opening party.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. I feel like we covered a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
And we will be releasing episodes about monthly. So if you liked this podcast, make sure you subscribe and wait for some more. We'll be chatting to a few different creatives in the coming months. So thank you for watching.